Welcome into episode 52 of Full Throttle, the Presidio Group's automotive industry podcast. I'm your host, Jason Stein, managing director at Presidio.
My personal opinion, our cost of sale in the quarter was a little over $51,000. We were $39,000 before COVID. At that rate of increase, that didn't, run with people's income. So I think there's no more air left in the balloon. And I don't think cost of sale can really go up much. So I think there has to be a lot of strategic conversations. Do we decontent vehicles? Do we think about the model lineup differently? It's much harder today to be a franchise dealer than it was 10 years ago.
Our guest today has had a very busy year and even a busier summer. David Hult, CEO of Asbury Automotive Group, recently closed what many are calling the deal of the year. A $1.4 billion acquisition of the iconic Herb Chambers companies, a luxury-rich New England-based powerhouse with 33 dealerships and 3 collision centers, plus billions in expected revenue. It's a transaction years in the making, fueled not just by strategy, but by a 30-year personal relationship between David and Herb himself. In this episode, David explains how the deal came together, what makes the Boston market so valuable, and how Asbury plans to integrate one of the most respected dealer groups in the country, all the while preserving its culture and brand legacy. We'll also dive into managing headwinds in today's economic climate, EV investment concerns and inventory risk, what consolidation looks like in a post-2021 gold rush, and why the parts and service business is poised for a decade of strength. And of course, David's view on what it means to be a steward, not just an owner of a legacy business. This is a conversation about strategy, legacy, leadership, and the future of automotive retail. Full Throttle with David Hult.
Hi, this is David Hult. This is Presidio's podcast, Full Throttle.
Well, he's had a busy summer, a busy year, actually. And it's funny, we sort of called it an overnight deal that took 4 years to complete. But here he is to explain it all. David, welcome to the program.
Excited to be here, Jason. Thanks for having me.
Let's get to that deal. It is certainly a landmark this year. You were able to complete the $1.4 billion deal to buy Herb Chambers. It's fresh territory for you. It's a luxury-laden portfolio. And I know you're really excited to have it complete. Tell me a little bit about it.
I'm from Boston, so I've known Herb for 30 years, and I think that was a market strategically that was important for Asbury. It's not a growing market in New England, but it's a really stable market, and it performs well in downturn economies. With Herb's reputation in the market, with the heavy luxury mix, we're constantly trying to manage and balance our portfolio between import, domestic, and luxury. So it was kind of a two-win, luxury and a market that we felt that we needed to be in strategically. So we're really thrilled to have the opportunity and be a steward of Herb's business. He's such a great guy, a dynamic personality. He just donated $100 million to Mass General to build a cancer tower. He's just a unique guy, and it's a great opportunity for us.
Herb said that over the last 10 years, he's been approached by several companies interested in acquiring his organization. Didn't do it. You, as I alluded to in the opening, you've been working on this for a while, and your 30-year relationship probably helped bring it over the line, right?
I think so. I think it took so long because, at a core, Herb is a passionate person, and he cares about his people. He cares about his business. And I think it was hard for him to make that decision to let go. And he was consistent through the 4 years. It was really important to him who is going to be the steward of his business, because he has an awful lot of employees that have been with him 30 plus years that he cares about. And his concept of me being from the market, understanding the market, knowing a lot of his people, he really felt that would be a transition that would be comfortable for him.
For you, what's the number one priority here? Obviously, in any transaction, you want to make sure that, as you said, those employees who've been there for so long, for decades, feel that they're coming along on the ride and that you're bringing them with you. How do you do that? I know you've spent a lot of time there over the last little bit.
Yeah, and during the week of closing, we had about 150 people in the market. Everyone has a different model after they acquire something, how they manage it. From our standpoint, it kind of shows in our vision and our compass that we look at with all our platforms, names around the compass. Chambers is different than Place. Park Place is different than Miller. Our job is to integrate with Chambers, see how they do business, build trust and alignment, see the world through their eyes, see where a company like Asbury can help them from an efficiency and scale standpoint, share ideas, let the luxury guys talk to the Park Place guys, build relationships, and collaborate together to find a way to run the business as best we can. From my perspective, beyond that, making sure I protect Herb's name, being a good steward of the business and knowing how he operated in the market, how he was engaged with the community. We want to make sure we continue that.
And as part of all of this, I know that the luxury component was particularly interesting for Asbury.
Yeah.
You now increase your luxury component by a few percentage points. You are in a position now where you're adding some interesting brands. You get Asbury's second Bentley store, two Audi, two Porsche, two Mercedes-Benz, two BMW, two Land Rover, one Jaguar dealership. How important was the diversification, David?
Let's not forget about Rolls Royce and
Yeah,
Lamborghini and all
right.
those.
There are a few others. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll tell you, again, being from that market, every major city, everything's about drive patterns and where people live. And when you look at his luxury stores and you look at the markets where he's physically located and where the affluent markets are in the drive patterns, his stores are really set up perfectly, which is why his parts and service numbers are so strong, even for the size company that he is. So we want to lean into that. We think we can help them a lot on the technology side. They got such great people. So, I mean, the combination of all of it really bodes well for the future for us.
And speaking of the future, you've been public about the fact that you have a goal in mind by the end of the decade that you want to reach at least $30 billion in annual revenue. You reported 17.2 billion in 2024, which was up substantially. We're now adding what, $3.1 billion in annual revenue? Is that right,
Yeah.
David?
Yeah. I would tell you that goal was set originally in 20. And, there's been a lot of challenges and changes in the economic environment across the globe. And we're trying to manage that as best we can. I think where we're at today, we're in the markets we want to be in. There's not another state that, is something that's imperative for us in the short term. And I think we're focused on managing our business. And now it's turning the key a little bit to be more shareholder friendly in the sense of managing our portfolio, being great capital allocators. We think that we trade at a very low multiple, and there's an opportunity to do different things with capital in the near term. So I think we'll try and be better operators and focus on our business and integrating what we have, looking at our portfolio and seeing what's the best way to generate cash and utilize that cash that's going to generate the highest return. So I think we're not shying away from that $30 billion goal, but we're not leaning into it to the point where we're not going to be prudent and manage cash and make sure the returns are there for our shareholders.
Let's talk about performance here recently. Presidio, in its quarterly report, really underlines and highlights the word stabilization from a profitability standpoint. How do you see the year to this point, and what do you see going forward?
Yeah. Again, being a New Englander, we tend to be cynical people. So keep that in mind when I answer you. I think everyone's kind of holding their breath for the next 65 to 90 days. We still don't have clarity on what's going to happen with the tariffs. We all know the cyclicality of what happens with our industry after Labor Day. The EV tax credits go away. My personal opinion, our cost of sale in the quarter was a little over 51,000. We were 39,000 before COVID. At that rate of increase, that didn't, run with people's income. So I think there's no more air left in the balloon, and I don't think cost of sale can really go up much. So I think there has to be a lot of strategic conversations. Do we decontent vehicles? Do we think about the model lineup differently? This it's much harder today to be a franchise dealer than it was 10 years ago. Your costs to do business are significantly higher. Your benefits cost, the cost to build, to redo facilities. I mean, it's a material difference than it was 10 years ago. So it's absorbing a lot of capital. So I think in the next 3 months, everyone's going to wait and see what happens with the tariffs. The key strategic thing from an OEM perspective, in my opinion, as best they can manage that inventory and day supply. Don't overproduce vehicles. You have to wait to see what happens with the market. I'm hopeful of a few rate drops over the next 6 to 10 months or 12 months will be beneficial to us. But because the cost of sale is so high, we really need to see at least 100 basis point cut, in my opinion, to have a material difference to get the tailwind. I think home building will pick up quicker than that with some rate cuts, which will certainly benefit us as well. Truck business is starting to come back more. It was going away under the Biden administration, not going away, but going backwards a little bit. Now we're seeing a resurgence with trucks. That's a higher margin business. That's good. There's less on EVs and more on combustible engine. That's good for us for the near term. But the manufacturers invested a lot in EVs, so it's not going away. So we're just hopeful that there's a smart balance here that we can manage. The good news is, and you've seen this like I have over decades, automotive dealers are great at adjusting to the market and determining how they're going to go to market based on the circumstances. And I think it'll be the same for us. Longer term, get out to January, February. I'm excited for 26, 27, 28. The used car market's going to grow each year. The pool will get bigger as far as cars becoming more available. That'll be a benefit. Parts and service is going to be strong through the entire decade because of all the different segments between EV, hybrid, and combustible engine. Vehicles becoming more complex, so I see retention going up for dealers. I think the new car market will be interesting to see. S&P just recently came out with their forecast on SAR. Next year, they're saying 15.3. That's lower than we anticipated, but in their 5 years that they have forecasted, there's not 1 year at 17. So it's an interesting time, and I think we got to manage our checkbook as best we can. But the good news is the average age of the car on the street today is over 14 years. The average truck is almost 12 years. So I think that benefits us. We just have to be smart and manage our business well. And if we do a great job at taking care of our employees and they do a great job at taking care of our guests, hopefully we'll get our fair share.
You worried about the pressure on the consumer?
Absolutely. Yeah. Down payments are shrinking. They're extending the term. During COVID, that was the first time in a decade where I saw the months as far as people financing shrinking and down payments going up. It was very healthy, great to see. We're now seeing the terms getting extended again and payments coming down, down payments shrinking a little bit. Credit's still readily available, which is great because from a franchise dealer, our Achilles heel is automotive lending. As long as there's automotive lending available, I think we'll be okay. But there's some interesting waves that are going to come in the next few years. So while we're worried about the cost of sale and the cars going up and all that kind of stuff, higher down payments, like I said, shorter term financing, you start getting out 27, 28, those cars are going to start to come in trades. Customers are going to be in pretty good positions and won't have as much negative equity, hopefully, during that period of time. So I think there's some benefits coming down the road. I also think you'll see consolidation continue, probably more aggressive towards the end of the decade. But I think it's going to continue. And as technology advances, we're going to be, I think, a better proposition for the consumer and the OEM as far as the conduit between the two.
We've also talked to a couple of dealers who are concerned about a technology gap or even a product gap that may occur over the next couple of years because of the hefty investments required for EVs. Yeah. That are now obviously, the pendulum has swung. And so, what about that good old ICE vehicle that now needs to be sold? Well, there wasn't a significant investment made over the last couple of years. You know the production cycles as well as I do.
Yeah, there's no question. It's a concern, and everyone's scrambling right now. It's difficult from their perspective to flip the coin every time an administration changes. I think the thought process was, and I said this a year ago when I was talking to people, they said, what's your biggest concern? I said 25 and 26 because I was worried about EVs. We were heading down a path that the OEMs were forced into the EV market. I could see the demand wasn't there, and I could see the infrastructure isn't there in most states to support it. I was extremely concerned about this inventory backing up what's going to happen. So new administration pivoting, I think that's a great thing. I don't think the technology is going to go away. I think it's going to get better. And I think as it gets better, it'll come back into the SAR in a meaningful way over time. But I think it's still 7 to 10 years before it's 25 to 30% of our business. But that's mainly depending upon technology and the infrastructure. The government's got to keep working on the infrastructure. If they take a break, you're still going to have that problem over time.
We'll be stuck exactly right here, won't we? Yeah.
Sure.
Well, final thing on the M&A market, we've talked about, and George Corollas has written about and shared the view on the gold rush that occurred with brokers who got into a market that in 20 and 21 it was kind of easy to do deals. And now we're coming back to a level of normalcy, if you will, and quality of deals. What's your view on the M&A market?
Yeah, it's a great question. And it was an awful lot of brokers trying to be professional brokers, which was at times difficult to navigate and deal with. I'm actually very optimistic about it because, again, 90% of ownership is still in the hand of the privates. There's still generational, there isn't a succession plans for a lot of families. There's a lot of good stores out there. I think the car market has proven that it's going to be around forever. We learned in every downturn, people give up their mortgage before their car because the car is so important to them. And again, as the complexities continue to grow, we think that benefits the dealer from a relationship standpoint and a retention standpoint. I think M&A is going to be strong. It's going to have its ups and downs based upon the economy and at a moment in time. Just like we've all seen over the years, brands are cyclical as far as strengths and weaknesses. But I'm very optimistic about it in the future. We tend to focus on, brokers like Presidio that are, professional and well managed because it makes it easier for us to do a transaction.
Well, appreciate that, David. Congratulations on the deal again. The New England guy gets a great deal to manage. So happy for you. So happy for your 4-year journey that concluded just recently here.
Appreciate that. Thank you so much, Jason.
Thank you, David. That's the 52nd episode of Full Throttle, and a very special thanks to my guest, David Hult. Thank you for listening, and for a library of these episodes with industry leaders, go to the PresidioGroup.com. You can also find a library of these shows on the Presidio Group's YouTube channel. I'm your host, Jason Stein. We'll talk to you again next time.